thought immediately that he was dead.
Authorities tell us Decker often spent time at the park. Drones and a canine unit have been deployed, but so far he remains missing.
24-year-old Nick Wilcox, 22-year-old Yvonne Young, 24-year-old Robert Steinbrecher, and 19-year-old Christina Guild of Kenosha, all reported missing within the past few weeks.
I can't explain my feelings, and I wouldn't wish it upon any parent.
In 2013, American football quarterback Cullen Finnerty went fishing at Bay Creek State Forest. But 30 minutes later, he called his wife in a panic.
He didn't know where he was in the woods. He was afraid. I just knew when I spoke with him that something wasn't right.
He told his wife he was being followed, that he didn't know where he was and was begging for help.
So we looked in the woods all evening. It was getting, darker fast. And so I called the police to see if they could help us find him.
The following day, volunteer search parties, most of whom friends and family, set out to find him.
Hundreds and hundreds of people came to help, which was amazing.
Cullen Finnerty was found lying in the ground with his face down on the grass.
There he was, just face down. Still had on his waders, had on his fishing vest. We all just sat there in disbelief.
Police ruled out foul play, and the initial autopsy was unable to conclude the cause of death. In 1974, the Cowden family set up a picnic in the Siskiyou Mountains in Applegate, Oregon. But when the grandmother, who was at her home, noticed they hadn't arrived for dinner, she drove up to the site and saw they were gone, with everything in the campsite left undisturbed. The car was parked, the baby's diapers, the wife's purse, all left untouched. Even a fresh glass of cold milk was on the table, resulting in the largest search party in Oregon's history. But it wasn't until 7 months later, when two men who were hunting in the same area noticed human bones mired underneath their feet, and it was there where they saw the wife and children embedded beneath stacked rocks stuffed into a cave, and the father fully decomposed, tied tightly to a tree trunk on the side of a hill. No one has ever been charged for the incident, and the case remains open. In 1969, 6-year-old Dennis Martin went camping with his family in the Smoky Mountain National Park, which was tradition.
Every Father's Day, the Martin family, the extended family, were to go to Spence Field and camp.
6-year-old Dennis and his brothers came up with an idea.
When 6-year-old Dennis Martin, his brother and friends, planned a playful prank.
The brothers hid in some bushes, snuck up behind their parents and scared them, but immediately afterward noticed that Dennis was gone.
What followed is believed to be the largest search in park history.
The search area has expanded as the days stretch into a full week since the youngster was reported missing.
A couple who was walking the track claimed to have heard screams coming from a little boy, and saw a man running away from the area into a vehicle.
They heard a little boy scream. He saw this dirty man, from where the sound of the little boy, he referred to him as disheveled, and the guy ran. And the guy got in the van and drove off at a high rate of speed.
The case remains open. In 2004, 9-year-old David Gonzalez was camping with his mother at San Bernardino's National Forest when he asked his mom for her car keys so he could get a box of cookies that were in the front seat. The car was less than 50 yards away. His mother kept her eyes on him as he walked toward the car. She turned for a moment, and when she turned back, 9-year-old David was gone. The mother claims to have heard no sounds while her back was turned. The cookies in the vehicle were untouched, and the car was still locked. But almost 9 years later, and a mile from the campsite, hikers stumbled upon the boy's remains, and the cause of death is still uncertain. And this brings us to one of the strangest events I could find, and one that happened this year.
The search continues tonight for Toronto firefighter who went missing during a ski trip near Lake Placid.
Who disappeared while on a skiing trip in upstate New York.
Danny Philippidis, the focus of an intense rescue at Whiteface.
Steep and icy terrain making this a challenging task.
Toronto firefighter Danny Philippidis was on an annual trip with co-workers at Whiteface Mountain in Wilmington, New York. His friends were ready to leave, but Danny said he was going back up the hill for a final ski run. That was the last time his friends ever saw him at Whiteface Mountain. But what's most peculiar about this is where they found him 6 days later.
A missing Whiteface Mountain skier is found on the other side of the country after a 6-day search.
Danny went missing in New York, but was found in Sacramento, California. That's nearly 3,000 miles away.
New York State Police say the exact route the 49-year-old Toronto man took to get to California from Lake Placid, a distance of about 4,600 kilometers, is still a mystery.
Danny was found wearing the same ski clothes he was wearing when he went missing. This incident cannot help be somewhat humorous in its oddness, while at the same time a true head-scratcher. Firstly, consider how odd Danny's behavior was when he got to California.
Just seen about 3 policemen surrounding one guy. You know, at the airport, that's kind of crazy, so they're trying to figure out what was in his backpack and where'd he come from and everything, and the guy was pretty confused, like he didn't know where he was at or how he got here.
And according to Danny, he got a haircut in California and rode on a big rig the entire way there. But investigators see no evidence of that.
Then somehow he ended up in a big rig, he says, going to the West Coast. Police found him in Sacramento, about 3,000 miles from here. At the time, he had already gotten a new haircut, cash, and a new iPhone. Troopers say they plan on speaking with him again. In the meantime, investigators say none of the big rig companies and drivers they've spoken to remember taking him anywhere. Now, several news groups have tried calling barbershops in Sacramento near the area where the skier was located, but they too have not found out who cut his hair.
Every year, hundreds of people go missing in national parks, leading some to speculate onto the how or the why. For myself, the simplest explanations are often the most valid. When it comes to missing people in national parks, it's likely that many either get lost, kidnapped, or attacked by animals. The broader theories of alien abductions or paranormal activity seem to be stretches. There are certainly stretches I will not be making here, but this is not to say I'm entirely closed off to any such explanation or would never entertain such claims in all circumstances. It just means that as it pertains to this topic, natural explanations make the most sense to me. I can also plead ignorance as I'm ill-advised on the labyrinth of this topic and have not been exposed to how deep this rabbit hole goes, so if you have a direction to point me in, let me know. Until then, if you find yourself in a national park, be careful, because something natural could also happen to you.